So what we have here is an online tool. And what we have done, we have chosen to use JWT, Google Web Toolkit, to build these applications. And you can create a new application. So if I create a new folder, and I can create new applications. And we have some examples or starting point for Java, Spring project, Ruby on Rails, or you can even create PHP. So if I create a Sprint project, we automatically create a project with different set of files and source code. So the classical Maven artifact, the project, and the web application. So we are working also on improving the code edition, the code editor to provide code completion. So obviously it will be, depending of the type of file, depending of the syntax of the file you are working on, easier or not. Scripting languages like Ruby, it's quite complex to do. So looking for the shortcut. So code completions, we participate to a code mirror editor. We contribute to provide a new syntax highlighter. So code coloring, you can integrate and develop new classes. So not only you will be able to do that with Spring project or Ruby on Rails project. All this online. Also, before deploying and testing, what you can do is developing simple gadgets online. So I have one here, for example. So the gadget from OpenSocial, it's what is used inside iGoogle, but you see that in more and more applications. The way you develop and integrate with Google Apps could be using OpenSocial gadgets. The way Atlassian, so Jira and other tools coming from Atlassian, integrate and expose their business logic on UI, it's also using OpenSocial gadgets. So in this case, what I do is I use module definitions with some preferences to say what are the personalization options of my gadget. And I also put some HTML and JavaScript code to call an existing API. In this case, I use Flickr API to get the picture of the stream of Flickr, the default stream of Flickr. So I can execute this, and I get the picture directly coming from Flickr inside my gadget. So now that I have my gadget, what I can do is I can integrate it inside different applications. So because the integrations, it's quite easy, and based on an XML file, I can, if I don't take the URL to this file, go in my, for example, my local instance of eXo. So I have eXo running locally. So the IDE was on the cloud. I will use our intranet. Okay. And based on this, I can just take the URL to my gadget, take a public one, to integrate my gadget inside my dashboard, for example. So here I have the gadgets running on the cloud, accessing another web services coming from Flickr. And I can get my own picture if I want, coming from Flickr. Don't ask me why Flickr has so weird IDs. Oops. So I change the preferences of my gadgets. And now I access the picture coming from my own photo library on the internet. So in this case, I don't have anything to deploy it because the Cloud IDE itself, it's an open social container that gives the applications to the other systems, so to my portal, for example. If I want to deploy my application, another application in the context of PHP, Heroku, so Ruby on Rails, on Java, what I will have to do is I will have to create a Git repository locally inside my IDE, or access a remote Git repository, like directly take the source code from GitHub, for example, and connect to one of the paths, depending on where I want to deploy. And when I do the Git push, it will automatically deploy these applications to the targeted path. So helping people to develop application online, it's quite interesting to not only create from scratch, but more importantly, to quickly modify that from anywhere, because I just need to have an internet access, a browser, and I can start to develop, check my code, modify my code, check in, and deploy that on one of the paths. So as part of the different services we provide, so we have the Cloud IDE, so you can use it online yourself. Our platform is available directly on exoplatform.org or on OW2con. So you can build and manage enterprise social networks or intranet, extranet with multiple services. You have many APIs to integrate with. So one of the key points is really using the platform with our IDE or using any Java IDE, build new applications that you can deploy as gadget or as Java portlet to build a website for your users, develop directly on the cloud using the Cloud IDE, and deploy also on the cloud from the IDE using one of the paths you have available inside the platform.